Henry Davis. Mr. Davis, your full name for the record.
Carlo Henry Davis.
Mr. Davis, today is an arraignment date. These are just allegations today. I'm not saying you're guilty. I'm just going to put you on judicial notice of all the charges that are being formally brought against you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
For the officer that's arraigning Mr. Davis, case number 21-0088. Carlo Henry Davis, I have a felony complaint. The alleged offense dates October 22nd of 2020. The location's 15077 Streamway. Complainant victim is a Deatrice Jones. Count 1 charges you with weapons, firearms, and possession by a felon. They're alleging that you did possess a firearm when ineligible to do so because he had been convicted of unarmed robbery, a specified felony, and the requirements for regaining the eligibility to have a firearm have not been met. That's in violation 750.224F. It's a felony that if you're found guilty, you could be sentenced up to 5 years in prison and fined up to $5,000 mandatory forfeiture of the weapon. Count 2 charges you with felony firearm. They're alleging you did carry or have in your possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time you committed or attempted to commit a felony, to wit, felonious assault. That's in violation 750.227B. It's a felony that if you're found guilty, you could be sentenced up to 2 years consecutively in any preceding term of imprisonment for that felony or attempted felony. You have what's called a second offense notice on count number 2 that enhances that penalty, that you could be sentenced to 5 years consecutively in any preceding term of imprisonment for the imposed felony. Count 3 charges you with assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as felonious assault. They're alleging you did make an assault upon a Deatrice Jones with a dangerous weapon, to wit, a pistol, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder, in violation of MCL 750.82. That is a felony that if you're found guilty on that charge, you could be sentenced up to 4 years in prison and fined up to $2,000 DNA to be taken upon arrest. Count 4 charges you with felony firearm. They're alleging you did carry or have in your possession a firearm, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, to wit, felonious assault, in violation of 750.227B. And again, you have a second offense notice on that charge that you could again be sentenced up to 5 years in prison with any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony. Count 5 charges you with domestic violence. They're alleging you did make an assault or assault and battery upon a Deatrice Jones, an individual to whom he had a dating relationship. That's in violation of 750.81(2). It was a misdemeanor, but because you have a second offense notice that they're saying that you were previously convicted of assaulting or assaulting and battering his or her spouse, a former spouse, or an individual to whom he had a dating relationship, or an individual to whom he had a child in common, you're in violation of 750.81(2), that on or about July 18th of 2018, you have a conviction. Therefore, it enhances the penalty on the domestic violence that you could be sentenced up to 1 year in prison and fined up to $1,000. And lastly, Mr. Jones, or correction, Mr. Henry, you have what's called a habitual offender fourth offense notice. You have prior convictions from April 25th of 2016. And they're out of Oakland County: unarmed robbery, carrying a concealed weapon, and possession of a firearm, and felony firearm. Therefore, it enhances the penalty on the primary charge that you could be sentenced up to life in prison. I want to inform you that you're entitled to be represented by an attorney. If you're indigent, can't, through the help of your family or friends, secure the money to hire an attorney, the court could appoint one to represent you. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say orally and or in writing can be used against you in court. He's been fingerprinted, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The next step in these proceedings is what's called a preliminary examination. That's not a trial at which your guilt or innocence to be established. It's a hearing to determine if there's enough evidence to hold you for trial. Since you don't have an attorney present today, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. We're going to schedule this matter for a probable cause hearing And that's going to be on March 3rd, 2021 in Judge Martin's courtroom at 8:30 a.m. We're to the bond portion of this case.
Your Honor, in relation to the bond recommendation, I don't think I was aware of the history with Mr. Davis when that was originally sent over.
I was going to say, I'm not in agreement with this recommendation, but Mr. Henry, where do you live?
Oak Park, Michigan.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a contractor. I do asbestos abatement.
So you're working, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, let me do some paperwork here. The complainant victim in this case, I want you to listen close because this case goes back to October of 2020. You're to have no contact with Demetrius Jones. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You're to have no third-party contact. You can't send a message to a family member or a friend, no cell phone, text messaging, or any social media contact. Lieutenant, correct? Who's doing the arraignment?
Yes, Your Honor, Lieutenant Hall.
The address for Demetrius Jones, is it still down on Streamway?
The best of our knowledge, yes. He does not live with her. He says he has not had any contact with her. Like I said, based on the charges and the history, obviously we've asked for some form of cash bond. At the very least, a GPS tether.
Mr. Henry, you cannot return to be in or around or near gateway townhouses. No contact with 15077 Streamway. Am I clear?
Yes.
Or the complainant victim.
Yes.
Your bond's $50,000, 10%. You can only be released on the Wayne County Tether Program and with those conditions of my bond. That wraps up Mr. Henry.
Thanks, Your Honor. All right, you can have a seat, Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, right?